like how important it is to be on time.
Okay, are we going for it then?
Yep.
Right, I'm going to press admit and then I'm going to run that way. Okay. Have a good time.
See ya.
Here we go. Everyone's joining now. Emily.
Oh.
This is where we put Zoom to the test.
Ah, they're there. Okay.
Okay, I think you lost connection for a minute.
But why is my picture not there? Can you see?
Oh.
Right, no, I've got to get the my error up again because I've got a whole load of stuff here.
Because they can't.
Let me just close that.
They can see my name, but not my
What's your pin?
my pin 8255.
8255. Can you move the little gate on your thing the other way?
Hold on. Just say accept. Okay.
Hello,
Okay.
everyone. We're just
Can you see me?
just admitting people. So
There's a letter lost.
bear with us.
Yeah.
Hold
right.
on.
Now move the gate on your thing the other way.
What gate? I don't know what you mean. Can
On
you
your,
do it?
you know, the thing that you can't see, that cuts off your camera.
Oh, I see. The other way. Okay. I've moved to the other way. Nothing. I move it again. Whatever I do, nothing. Can you?
Right.
I don't know why.
If everyone would like to mute themselves just while we're admitting everybody.
Yeah, we still have people coming in, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's a lot of people.
We've got a couple of minutes just to see if anybody else tunes in.
Please feel free to say hello in the chat. Send us any questions if you have them already. And yeah, maybe you can tell us where you're connecting from. Is it UK or somewhere in Europe? We've got I can see we've got some voices from US as well.
I'm from London. A letter.
London.
I'm from London. Highgate.
Hello.
Hello.
Cambridge, New York, South Carolina, Argentina.
The whole world.
Florida, Devon.
You like also some peas inside or you? No. Only mushroom.
Who else have we got? Berlin, Finland.
Take a quick pic.
Rome, very nice. I love Rome. Tenerife, Milan, Toronto, Dallas, Watford, Philippines. Very nice.
Is Emily there?
Very all over the world. Yeah. I can see Emily.
Hello.
Hello, Emily.
One more. Should we make a start then? It's 6:05 now.
Yes, so it's 6:05. I think we have most people here. So thank you so much for joining us, finding a time in your busy schedules. It's not easy, especially in the evening, especially if you have kids. So welcome again. Welcome to our Mastery webinar. Today we'll be touching on everything voiceover, especially we'll be talking about voice demos, voice coaching, and anything and everything you want us to talk about. So please feel free to send us questions in the chat. I'll make a note of them, and we'll try to answer, well, all of them, hopefully. If not all of them, definitely most of them. So in today's panel, we've got professionals from our lovely industry, voiceover industry. We've got Emily, we've got Justine, we've got Rich, and we've got Diane. I'll let them introduce themselves. Diane, would you like to start?
Yes, sure. Just briefly, I'm a US voice actor and coach based in the UK. And I think I've been doing this about 25 years now. Yeah, that's enough for now, I think.
Thank you. Justine?
Hello, I'm a voiceover and coach. I did my first voiceovers in 1989 for 0898 numbers, if anyone remembers anything so dodgy. And then I mainly do commercial TV, radio and corporate, and I've been coaching for 6 years. And that's enough from me.
Thank you. Emily, would you like to go next?
Hello everyone, so I am a voice artist, I'm a coach, and I've also been a casting director and a audio producer for, goodness me, 12-13 years. So I'm a bit of an amalgamation, which is quite cool. That's it.
Thank you. And Rich?
2 seconds. Hello everyone, I'm Rich O'Donoghue. I run IO Audio, which is a voice demo production business. And what's that's feeding back off somewhere. I also do radio commercials, station imaging and voiceover work as well. Probably been going about 20 years now with audio and DJ, well, over 20 years, but the back end of the 90s. So yeah, my main business is IO Audio, and we've got a team of people that we work with. We've got a team of writers, and the voice coaches are here with us today, which is Diane, Justine and Emily. They run their own businesses within their own rights, but I'm lucky enough that they are a part of the IO Audio team as well. So that's my introduction, I think.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And I'm Justina Malbon. I run Outspoken Voices. I started my voiceover career as an agent for nearly 15 years ago in one of the London's voiceover agencies. And then I dived into deep waters and set up my own agency mainly due to high demand in home recordings, voiceover. We only represent artists with home studios. That's our unique point. And yes, we've been lucky enough to have clients and lots of lovely voices on our books.
Great.
So, shall we dive into questions? Let's start with that. I think that's the easiest to get the conversation rolling. So I've got one for Emily, for our lovely coach Emily. How do I help myself stand out from others as a voice artist?
Oh, I like that question. It's one I'm asked all the time. The reality is the industry is so swamped with people nowadays that you kind of have to find your unique selling point. It's about figuring out your casting types for a start. Lots of people, when they enter the industry, they think that To do a good reel or to get people to hire you, you just got to read something that is popular right now. But that's not true. You need to figure out what kinds of things you're likely to be cast for, and then create your reels around that and go for auditions that are going to be your casting type. You're only going to stand out if you target it a little bit. You don't want to be a jack of all trades, but you do want to be quite flexible and know what you're great at. So knowing what you do well is going to make you shine a lot more. So that's my tip, is go find out what your casting types are. Think about words that can be associated with your voice and create your reels around that.
Yes, that's a very, very valid point. Actually, today I read on LinkedIn a post about exactly about that, and the opinions were sort of divided. So some people were saying, "Oh, just cast the net as broad as you can in order to get as many jobs," and that's how you essentially go about voiceover business. The other people were saying just exactly what you mentioned, Emily. So to really try and find what you're good at, what kind of castings you're successful in, what kind of jobs you get the most, and try to build your brand as a voiceover artist around that. So
exactly,
you start with your demo reels, and then you follow through with your website, with how you approach clients, and so on and so forth. I think casting your net too wide might be a bit. I don't think you can run a long way with that.
And just switching my hats for a minute and turning back to that casting director, it makes me really mad, because if you cast your net really wide, because a lot of other people are doing the same thing. And if you're not thinking about what you're great at, I know that you're probably not that bothered about necessarily paying much attention to jobs I might give you. So if people are too generic and they're going, "Oh, I'm just going to go for it," I don't think you actually care, and so it's not going to put you in a good light with me. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a valid point too. Anything you want to add, Diane or Justine?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Aletta, yes.
No, I'm very interested about not casting your net too wide. My problem is I'm totally bilingual, English, German, had an English father, German mother. Nobody ever believes you can do both, but I've done both and I do both. And I cast my net incredibly wide because I specialize in children's voices. I did all the animal voices for Dr. Dolittle. I do animation, cartoon, video games, you name it. But mostly I get corporates and commercials. So I'm just trying to, I much prefer, because I'm a trained actress, I much prefer to do animation, cartoons, video games. So am I casting my net too wide?
No, because you're both a voice artist and a voice actor. Those are going to
have right. So there's voice actor and voice artist.
Yeah, and so they're two very different things. We use the terms interchangeably. They're not interchangeable. So you are in a wonderful position that you can go for two different things. And if it helps, I also do exactly the same. I'm a trained actor and I do both. What I mean is casting type. So for example, let's stick to your corporate, etc. side. Chances are your casting types would be the wisdom, it would be the experience, it would be the intelligence. I wouldn't be putting yourself up for urban. You know, that's
sorry, what do you mean by urban?
Cool. Looking at there's a Coca-Cola commercial out at the moment and it's all really kind of funky. That's what I mean by too wide, is saying I can do all styles, because that's not true.
But I can.
But I don't know if you could play. I don't know if you could play super cool 20-year-old. If you see
Very easily. No problem at all. I get them all the time. The lucky thing is most clients don't see you. And I've got a photograph of about 30 years ago up there. Then once in a blue moon, the client sees you and they look at you and think, oh my God, I've cast a 20-year-old. Who is she? And I say, don't look at my face. Listen to my voice. And as soon as they hear the skill, they forget all about it. Sorry. That's what happens. But I was also told to say online what I love to do best. And what I do love to do best is video games, animation, cartoons, children's voices, animal voices. But most of the time I get corporates and German corporates and medical things and commercials, which of course are very well paid. So I'm not complaining from that point of view. But how do I get more into the other side?
I would say the demo reel, voice of video game demo reel and animation demo reel is your first.
I've sent all that off, yeah.
A professionally made one. And just be persistent and consistent with contacting the clients, and if you have voice agents, then letting them know this is the kind of sector you're interested in the most. But
we're not supposed to go for the clients. We're supposed to let the agent do that. Isn't that right?
That's right. If you're exclusive. If you're exclusive to an agency, then yes, you wouldn't go contacting clients left, right, and center. That's why you have an exclusive agent to do that work for you. If you're signed on non-exclusive basis, then
it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you're not breaching any contracts. You're still representing yourself to some extent. So yeah, by all means, contact the clients. And one more point I would say, if you're interested in animation and computer games, use your social media to promote yourself in that direction.
Oh, really? Ah, right.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh,
absolutely. Put your past work if you get them from the client, because I know clients can be tricky sometimes with giving finished recordings. So yes, promote yourself on social media. Put your work out there. I don't know, create some posts around animation and try and put yourself as an authority, as an actress who knows what she's talking about because she's done those jobs, and try to build traction there.
Thank you so much. Thank you for all your advice and guidance.
That's all right. Right. So let's dive into another question. Well, this is a good one. This one will be for Diane. How can I keep my inner critic from interfering in my reads? We all have the inner critic in us.
We do. It's very interesting because many years ago I sort of made friends with mine who, because I'm a character actor at heart, mine would always sit on my left shoulder and sort of whisper in my ear, well, that doesn't sound good. That's crap. So what I found is that it's not so much that you can keep your inner critic quiet. You can do that over a period of time, but you need now, if you're in a session, you need that inner critic to be quiet right now. So I find that you have to kind of sneak up on them. And there's a couple of really great bridges that get you out of your left hemisphere into your right hemisphere of your brain, because your left hemisphere of your brain, that's where your inner critic lives. That's where all of those voices that, you know, the doubt, all of that is over here. So really great bridges to get you over to the right side of the brain, the creative side, so you can just kind of be on autopilot. Visualization. So if you visualize what you're talking about, visualize who you're talking to, that gets you in that right hemisphere and takes the energy away from the inner critic. Another great bridge is kinesthetics, so body movement, gesturing, get the energy going through the body. You know, no one would give a TED talk and stand on that stage with their arms completely to their side. You wouldn't do that. So, you know, remember to gesture. So that's visualization, gesturing, and also emotion. Get tapped into the emotion of what you're talking about, and that's primarily a right brain function as well. So it's sneaking up on that inner critic and not giving it a chance. Now, over the long term, if you can train your inner critic to kind of be out here to the side here and way in the background, to just kind of give you a shout, you made a mistake, you know, rather than just in your face, you know, trying to tell you that you're bad. So yeah, some tips on how to sneak up on your inner critic.
Very good.
Great, thank you. And coming back a bit to what we just discussed about marketing yourself, I've got a good question from Skip. Hi, Skip. He's a voice artist based in the US. So his question is, what are some good, in brackets, non-annoying ways to market yourself to casting directors and clients? So, okay, let me maybe start first. I would say non-annoying. I think Emily would be also a good person to answer that question, as she's a casting director, and I'm sure she's inundated with emails and emails from artists sending the demo reels and asking for being cast or listened to. I think I
can give you a few ways of not to do it. How I've been approached by voice artists. So because I cast for radio commercials, that's been what I do for kind of the last 15 years. And I've had people ring me up and say, I'm a voice artist, have you got any work? So that's one way not to do it. And I've had people ring me up and say, why haven't you used me for a long time? Why aren't you sending me work? So that's one way not to do it. I've had people, the thing about marketing is you kind of have to be, especially with email marketing, you have to be a little bit, well, just be yourself, be a human being. But some people tend to send me everything in one email. So they'll go, hello, they don't know my name. It's hello, I'm a voiceover. Here's 3 pages of what I've done, and here's all my voice reels. So that just goes into I have got a folder that's like for that purpose, show reels that people send to him, but it doesn't engage me in conversation. It's like if somebody rang me up and said, hi, Rich, my name's Dave, or Sarah, I'm a voice actor. I've seen that you do radio commercials. I'm really interested in working with you. You know, I just wanted to introduce myself. That opens up a conversation with me. Or if somebody did that via LinkedIn or even email, it opens up a conversation that I'm willing to have, that I'd like to have, to get to know this person. So it's a tricky one finding that contact. LinkedIn is brilliant. I get a lot of people coming from LinkedIn. They'll message me first on LinkedIn and say, oh, nice to connect. Do you mind if I send send a show reel over? So that's one way of doing it. If they don't come through LinkedIn and they've got my email address, you know, putting in the header of the email, hi, Rich, it's blah, 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 whatever your name is, just wanted to connect, then that'll give me a reason to kind of open that email to have a look at it. And then you kind of introduce yourself. As I said, you know, my name's blah, 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 I've seen that you do this. If you show that you've been and researched the person that you're trying to get work with, it shows that you're not just trying to get any work anywhere. You've actually narrowed down your search to that person and that company, or you know, that production house that you want to work with. So that's kind of yeah, a few tips of not how to do it and how to do it.
That's bang on from my perspective as well, Justina. So I'll give you guys an example of a really frustrating thing that happened recently. And I noticed in the original question, there's actually how do you approach casting directors and potential clients? And for me to summarize both, it would be give them what is a solution for them, not that's a leg up for you. So as for example, casting, recently I was casting a really big game, and people would email me with their auditions. But then once they'd emailed me their audition, they'd follow up with, "Hi, Emily, just wanted to send you all of my reels, all of my profiles. This is my website. Did you know I've got a spotlight? I'd love to have a phone call with you at some point." And I was like, "I just want to cast my game. Thank you very much." And it actually annoyed me. But in terms of clients, like Rich said, you want to be saying, "Hey, this is what I can do for you. I've noticed you do this. I also do this. Or I've noticed you don't do that. Have you got any voices if you do?" You know, ultimately frame it as a solution for them that's going to make their lives easier, not, "Hey, I'm a voice artist, give me work."
Yes, absolutely. I totally agree with that. And even with when we as an agency, when we approach potential clients, we never just say, "Hello, we're this amazing new agency on the market, give us work, or we can do everything." No, we try to be very specific. We research the company that we want to contact, see what jobs they do, what projects they do, and then we tailor our messages towards that. It can be something as simple as, "Oh, we've noticed that you do a lot of radio ads. We've got great voices who are experienced in that. We've done hundreds of them. You know, how are you open for a conversation, or do you have 5 minutes for a chat?" Something like that. You always have to try and tailor the message towards a specific person or specific company.
I think it also depends on genre as well. And I wouldn't say that commercial producers are particularly necessarily irritated by people trying to get cast. Sometimes, as and you'll know if you've been in the commercial space as a voiceover, you'll know it's been fairly quiet in TV and radio the last few months. And it's not that comprods get annoyed. I think they would love to give everybody work, and it's kind of like, "Oh no, so and so's emailed me, and I would love to give them work." It's a very small world, and everyone kind of knows everybody. I would agree with what Justina said earlier about sharing your work on social media. I don't mean videos about voiceover or "here's me doing a voiceover." I mean stuff that you've done. It's nice to hear, it's nice to see, and it keeps you uppermost in their minds. So that's very, very useful. The other thing is engaging on social media about stuff that's nothing to do with work at all, because
yes,
we're all people at the end of the day. We like to laugh, we like to have a joke. We don't necessarily want to talk about work. And here we are kind of isolated a lot of the time. So sometimes just relax, forget about work and just engage. And you'll be remembered when there's something for you.
yes.
One trick I tried when I was, well, it wasn't a trick. It was, yeah. When I first went freelance with my voiceover work, I made, what's it called? Like, not chocolate brown, chocolate crunch. I made chocolate crunch and sent it out to the producers at Global and Bauer. So that's how they remember me, because a voiceover, Caroline Woodruff, did it to me when I first started out. She sent me a load of chocolate cake and was like, you know, that just it stuck in my mind. So just not saying that everybody has to start sending cake out now, but you know, coming up with your own little things to engage with people on a human level, rather than I'm here, give me work. You know, it's
less aggressive. Definitely
and we're in a creative industry as well, so you know, you can be creative with the ways that you market yourself and that you can engage with people.
I think a lot of creatives really don't appreciate aggressive marketing in ways that perhaps people from other walks of life don't mind, or they expect it. I think it can feel a little more awkward for them. And I think with radio in particular, there's still quite a shortage of people who can really, really do the job, really deliver in 2 reads, or give 3 really good reads, or offer the option of doing self-record or directed and know exactly what's wanted. So from my point of view, excellence is the best form of marketing. My God, if you can go in and do really good reads for Global, they will not forget you, believe me. So you need to define what that is, define what excellent is, and you need to match that. And if you don't know what's required of you, go and find out, practice with a coach, go and meet with someone who actually knows that area of the business, because it's very, very different from others. And if you can do it, you will do it.
Yeah. And you will be remembered. And if they like you once, again, it's all about making their lives easy. So if they know they can trust you, they know you did a great job, they're going to keep coming back. So
I always say your job is the single best audition for your next job. And it really, really is with commercial radio.
Yeah.
Thank you. My biggest problem, I've always I'm not a good salesperson, and I especially hate selling myself, you know, and whenever I reach out to somebody, I always feel sleazy about it. You know, it's like, hi, would you give me work? You know, it's just, so
I don't think you need to. I don't think you need to. If you can really do the gig, you'll be remembered. Share your work on social media, and you don't have to be sleazy and aggressive, as long as you can do the job.
Yes, absolutely. I think social media is really a fantastic tool for voice artists. There are so many ways you can market yourself there. I see some. Sorry.
Sorry for butting in. I was just going to say one thing that I've noticed, something that can be a little bit dangerous about the social marketing is that sometimes I've seen on social media where groups of voiceovers are in the same kind of circle in social media, and they're kind of marketing themselves to each other rather than kind of being marketed to the people that are going to cast you for different jobs. So it can be a little bit of a danger that you fall into that, and you spend a lot of time creating social media content that has been kind of going out to other voiceovers rather than people that are going to get you work. So that's
I've thought about this a lot, Rich, actually, and I've come to the conclusion, not set in stone, but there's a sort of a generation divide here a little bit. And so we've still got some baby boomers working in radio and TV and commercials, and Gen X, they're very much of that opinion. And then some younger people who they will probably say they're chasing followers. And they'll get followers very quickly, not chasing clients. They will get followers who are, would-be voiceovers. They do all this TikTok stuff that I don't know, that I know nothing about. I don't chase followers. But for some of them, eventually, and I think that's much the long game, they will say that is a way of getting clients. It's not for me. The one thing I would say is it's extremely time consuming because if you've got followers rather than clients, there are very high expectations of constant engagement. And that means constant posts, often posting a lot of crap because you just can't think of something. So there's pressure there. It's very, very stressful. And then, of course, you've got to check back. who's seen my post. Now I've got to engage with who's seen it. We're not talking sort of 5 or 10 minutes here or there. We're talking probably a lot of the day and some of the night. So I think an awareness of what that road entails, and decide whether or not you think that's for you. But I mean, I've got no disrespect for anybody marketing in a way that works for them. And I'm mindful, of course, that a lot of our clients are not the same age as me. They used to be much older than me when I started. Now an awful lot of them are younger than me. And you know what? I will market in a way that is suitable for them to find me. At the end of the day, this is all about us and our clients finding each other, and not all clients are the same, right?
Mm.
Yes, absolutely. You have to be clever and very, very creative about it. And whatever you put out there, you always have to have your target audience, marketing jargon, target audience in mind. You have to know who you want to speak to, who you want to attract, and you have to tailor your message, your content towards that. Otherwise, it's just, yeah, time wasting exercise. Or if you haven't got that tailored, you know, what kind of jobs I'm after, who I'm speaking to, whether they're creative directors, whether they are, I don't know, marketing executives or e-learning producers. You have to know who you're talking to. Otherwise, it just goes into the ether, I think.
There's somebody's asking, Claudio is asking, talking about social media, which are the ones you think are the best for our purpose? He uses SoundCloud, for example. That's an interesting question, because from my point of view, I've started doing this thing called a visual voice reel as part of my service, and it's basically transforming an audio voice reel into a visual representation of that work, so that you can post it on other forms of social media rather than like SoundCloud. So when I first started freelance, I did use SoundCloud, and I would post like a link to my audio voice reel, but people would then have to click on that link to then go and listen to the audio voice reel. And it's just, some people just can't be bothered to do that. So, you know, having something, a visual way of representing the audio voice reel can be really handy, so that you can spread your marketing across lots of visual forms of social media, i.e. Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, all those different types of social media. So you're not stuck to just SoundCloud and sharing a link to an audio reel. Other than that, you can create like an audiogram. We do these audiograms, which is a basic version of that. It's like a visual business card, visual digital business card, where you embed your voice reel into it. So you can have like your photo and contact details and so on. So again, that just can like widen your social media marketing a bit further.
Yes, and just one thing I wanted to add with SoundCloud, for me, like if somebody sends me SoundCloud link, or I need to go and listen to something on SoundCloud, I just don't bother, because it always asks me to sign in or create an account, or it's just, no.
You've lost your password. You're doing
Yes,
all
exactly.
this to listen
It's
to something you don't want to hear.
No, just send me an MP3. It's easier. Or direct me to your website, preferably, where I can find out more about you, more about your experience, and I can listen to all your demos in one place. Right. Speaking of demos, I've got a really good question. What makes a great voice demo, Rich?
Okay. So going off what Emily said earlier on, having that USP, I always say to people, you want to focus on what makes you unique to the voiceover industry. and obviously what your strengths are. So when we're creating demos, the reason we've got a team of writers is so that they can cast the voice for certain scripts, products, brands, and so on, and tailor make those scripts to suit voice artists, and that will bring out the best performances in them and showcase their skill set and all their different skills within that demo. So within your voice reel, you obviously want to showcase what you're made of. It's kind of a part of your shop window, and you want to showcase what the types of reads that you're getting booked for, as well as the types of read that you want to get booked for, but not fill the reel with reads that aren't going to get your work or repeat themselves. So if you can fill at 90 seconds like 8 scripts worth of, you know, variety, versatility, and showcase what you're made of, that's great. But if you start to repeat things, then it's probably worth having a smaller reel. So yeah, and making sure that the edits are the right length as well. So you're not, when you send a demo to somebody, you've kind of only got, you know, I don't believe that people don't listen to demos all the way through and that it should be 20 seconds long. If they think you're good enough, they will listen to the end. But I do feel that like the first 3 edits are kind of, I want to showcase what the voiceover is made of within those first 3 edits. And that is, what is their natural tone, what makes them unique, and what is kind of on trend in voiceover at the moment, whether that's a natural conversational read, or do they have something unique about their voice which makes them sound different to everybody. Like I recently worked with somebody who was from Edinburgh but had lived in Canada for a while, and she got a really unique twang to her voice, and I just thought that it's just stood out to me. So we really made sure that that was highlighted within those first 3 reads. So yeah, you kind of, I always think of it as like taking the listener on a journey. So you capture their ear with that first take, then you say, I can also do this, and then, you know, this is my key signature read, and then you take them on a journey with what else you can do in that reel. So and also that there's an actual point to the scripts. If you go somewhere else to have your reel made, or you try and make the reel yourself, why am I using this script? Why am I using this read? You know, what purpose is behind this read? Where is it going to get me work? So for instance, if you've got an accent, if it's an American accent and you're an English voiceover, it might be worth focusing on something else, other strengths that might potentially going to get you more work. So it's kind of having that logical thinking behind each script and each performance within the reel, which is what we do when we're writing scripts. They're very tailor-made to kind of point out what technical skills will be used, what voice direction, you know, all these different things. So and that's the danger with some animation reels that I've heard, that it can just be like a montage of sounds and different voices, rather than being actual characters that would be played in, you know, animation shows and on animation programs and stuff. So yeah, does that answer your question? Rambling a bit there.
Yeah, I think that was a very good answer. Thank you, Rich. And maybe let's continue with the reels for a bit. How often do you think we should, artists should update their reels? Because some artists do it every 5 years, 10 years even, in my experience. Not many that I know of do it on a regular basis, and by regular I mean at least every couple of years.
Yeah.
Can I just say something on that? Just, I just really briefly, I'm sure other people are better placed to answer that question, but I like the cringe factor. So if you listen to your reels and your face does anything akin to, then it's probably time to update it. So you'll know if you listen to yourself and you go, oh man, I'm so much better than that now. So the cringe factor, I think, is your first port of call. Yeah, and then obviously you have to think about trends as well. Are you where you need to be in the market? Yeah, cringe factor for sure.
I literally just wrote a social media post about that. That is so true, and it will happen throughout your career. It's because you'll get better. Every single day that you voice, you will get better, and it's natural eventually to look back on your reels and go, "Oh my god," and that's fine. It doesn't mean you're rubbish. It just means you've moved on. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well
and
said.
I like from the agent's perspective. I've already mentioned some artists don't upload don't update their reels for years and years. I know one who's got a reel he recorded 10 years ago, and he's a working actor. He's very, very good. But I think even if you have regular work coming, you should update your reel, because you gain more experience with the work you're already doing, and your new reel will reflect that, and it will potentially open up opportunities to get even more clients or even better jobs.
I think I always say that it's an organic process that needs to be updated as much as possible, really, because if you say you come to us and you have a reel made from scratch, and then you go out into the industry, and within 6 months you've collected 5 or 10 pieces of work, some that are self-directed, some that have been directed by other producers, your confidence will have built through that process. And so just tailor make it, kind of updating it with those different bits of work that you're collecting, as long as it doesn't, you're not duplicating yourself again, and you're kind of pigeonholing yourself, and you end up with a reel that just sounds all the same. Then update it as much as possible. And I was going to say something, it's gone. So yeah, organic process, update as much as possible. And yeah, I think that the danger can be that you kind of don't update it, and then you get to a point where you are getting booked for work, and you say, well, why should I update it? Because I'm getting booked for work of the same reel I had 20 years ago. But that shouldn't be an excuse not to update it, I don't think, because like Diane says, you've got trends that come and go, and yeah, I do have people come to me that have been in the game a long time, wanting to update the reel because they have been pigeonholed for a certain type of read. So they say, I can do this read, I can do that read, I want to do TV promos, I want to do radio imaging, I can do all this, but I keep on getting booked for the same thing. So, making sure that you have a reel that showcases that, and that people that you're marketing yourself to are aware of what else you can do as a voiceover is really important as well, because it is quite easy to just say, oh yeah, I'll book her for this, book her or him for this type of read, and that's it. So yeah, I think as much as possible, really, as long as it serves a purpose.
I think the veterans are the most guilty of this, actually, and it is a mixture of the reasons why you're saying they've had work, they've worked successfully, and it's actually their bookings are nothing to do with their reels. Their reels may only be heard by a client's client, like, oh, we're thinking of using this person, here's their reel. But in terms of producers, they don't need to hear a reel. Oh, I know what Rich can do. And sooner or later, hey presto, your reel can be 10, in some cases 15 years old. I mean, I listened to a veteran's voice with her permission, because she said that her work has really, really dried up and she's good. And so I said, well, I'll have a listen. one of the clips on it was great, a national commercial for a company that closed at least 7 years ago. And the other thing is her voice will have changed. And if you hang on to these things, you're doing yourself a disservice. So it's really important for the older, more experienced voices not to just say, well, I know I can do this. There are new people coming on board casting every day, week, month, year, particularly sort of in the gaming and animation. You have to keep it up to date.
Yeah. May I ask a question following on from that? So I'm in exactly that camp, that I record voiceovers a lot, so I'm guilty of not having updated my reels. Am I able to update my reels from just current work that I've done, if I'm able to get them obviously from clients and edit it together myself in my home studio? Or should I be paying for a new proper reel that's directed and scripted by people who are more finger on the pulse?
I would say, Justine.
Yes,
I would say, yeah, but definitely, if you've got real work that's gone out on air, but almost, yeah, get it on the show reel. That's what I mean. If you've had a reel made from a demo production place, that's your starting point. And then once you start collecting work, yeah, get it in there. As long as, like I said, you don't repeat the same type of read throughout the reel, I think. And then, like, what we offer also is when you're at a stage where now your reel is full of work that you have collected from real jobs, but you are getting kind of stuck in a kind of pigeonhole where you're getting booked for the same thing, you can come to us or anybody else and say, right, I want to update my reel with some scripts that you write for me, because I want to try to market myself with a different type of read. So you can kind of mix and match with real work and work that's been written for you from a demo by a demo production business.
And and adding on to that is, as somebody who regularly has to listen to reels and also produce the commercials, when you do a voiceover, obviously the aim is not to showcase your voice, it's to showcase the brand that we've hired you for. So not every job that you do is necessarily going to be the best representation of your voice. And so your reel needs to show your strengths. So it's great if you've got a job that you are so fond of, because it just does wonders for your voice. But I would say, don't think that instantly I've got work that needs to go in my reel. Only if it is perfection for your voice, include it, because otherwise you're just wasting time.
That's a really good point. Thank you.
Sorry, can I just ask everyone to mute themselves, please? And obviously, when you want to ask questions, say something. Just unmute, because we're getting a bit of a background noise. Thank you. So, a question just came in. Any recommendations for voiceover coaches? Yes, you have 3 in front of them, in front of you. Diane, Justine, and Emily. They are voice coaches, and well, I'll let you say.
Can I just say, I think it's really important to use a coach that is genre specific. So if you are interested in gaming, in animation, in corporate, in commercial, target those specific coaches. It's really unusual to have a coach who is an expert in commercials and an expert in gaming. They'll be helpful for both, but why not treat yourself to a couple of sessions with one or other and then see what works best?
Yeah, I totally agree with Justine. I would also say, it may seem obvious, but not every coach is right for every person. So I think, and I think I speak for Justine and Emily, that I do anyway, just do a chat. You know, if a coach is really good, they'll have a 15-20 minute whatever chat with you just to see if you're a good fit for each other. Because, you know, learning, as we know, is a very vulnerable undertaking. And so if you don't feel comfortable with the person that you're learning from, it's impossible to be creative, you know. So just, you know, just be choosy and interview several and choose wisely.
Definitely.
Can I just butt in there? Sorry, Emily.
Butt in all
Too
you
late,
like,
Rich. You already have.
No, I was just going to say that's a really interesting point. That's a really interesting, and that's what I say to people that are looking for a demo producer as well. That, you know, work with somebody who's going to get the best out of you as an artist, as a performer, and as a human being, and that you want to work with. Some people come to me and they go, right, I've made a decision to work with this person. That's absolutely fine, as long as they're going to get the best out of you and your investment as well. Then shop around, get to talk to different people, and find the person that you want to work with. So that's a really interesting point.
Personality is really important, and every coach is going to have a different style. And I would also say as well, and I don't think Diane or Justine are going to be even the slightest bit worried about me saying this, look at their body of work. Look what they've done. Do you like what they've done? Do you like their work? Are you inspired by them? If you're not inspired by them, don't even think about going with them. Ultimately,
I totally agree. And also, is the body of work still relevant? There are people who came into coaching 20 years ago because things just weren't working for them. They are not necessarily the right person to be teaching current trends.
Absolutely.
I would also say, be careful that you're not choosing someone who, I've been coaching for 6 months. Then they might, you know what I mean? They may be great, but just, you know, I think the bottom line really is just do your homework, you know, and follow your gut. Yeah.
And you will find coaches, some will be very specific, others will be broader. However, any coach that says to you, I can coach you everything, run a mile, because they can't. That's
or you'll be a millionaire this time next year.
What do you mean, Justine? Of course I'm going to be a millionaire this time next week.
Yes, so do your homework and definitely interview. Well, I can say that interview the coaches and go with your gut feeling. Right.
There's actually a question here that Justine might be interested in. Is being a radio presenter a negative for voiceover, though I don't have an announcer read problem?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because I think a lot of radio presenters are told, oh, well, you've got a lot of unlearning to do, which is not necessarily the case. It's quite interesting, I think, because radio presenters are called announcers in other parts of the world, and that often puts people off the whole idea. What I would say about presenters is that they have an almost instinctive, primitive idea of who they're talking to, which is effortless. And this stands you in extremely good stead for things like corporate work, because ultimately corporate clients want their work presented. And so radio presenters make extremely good corporate voiceovers and good documentary voiceovers. If you listen to them, particularly the ones who talk a lot rather than just, you know, with music, that genre's changed quite a lot. There's a real light and shade to their voices. There's an intimacy when it's required. There's an emotional integrity. Presenters can make excellent voiceovers, but it depends on the genre. So what I would normally do is recommend that they concentrate on things like corporate work, e-learning, documentary, medical stuff. And then if they've been a commercial radio presenter, they will have lived and breathed commercials, and they know because there is a certain melody and timing to commercials that actors can be great at commercials, but sometimes they go into a character which is not required for corporate work. So it's different strokes for different folks, and I would never write anybody off, but I definitely wouldn't write off someone with a radio background, because I've got
So I would like to add to that. This is Talisha. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm glad she just said that. I actually had I guess a pre-listening with a director. And they told me, like, there's like, you're very excited. We can hear the happiness in your voice. However, it's considered over projecting, if that makes sense. So I am an actor and a model. So I think that is, I guess I was in that mode. And they was like, you don't have to, like, he was basically telling me to, like, I don't have to do that. But I'm very, how can I say it, an exciting person, like. So I do need to learn how to tone it down when reading a script.
I think bringing that intimacy, though, into a read is quite easily done with an actor, but it is known to be a problem that sometimes there's a little bit too much volume and projection. But we've all got these things, these blind spots and these things that need ironing out. But very often they can be done in just one session. It's literally a, oh, did you know you do that? And maybe you can try this. So I would never write these things off or say, pigeonhole people. With a bit of work and a bit of guidance and a bit of encouragement and practice of a few, get your coach to give you a few relevant scripts, practice, listen back, get feedback. I don't see why it would be a problem.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Right, let's have a look at the questions. I've got one here. So, Irada, question from Irada. I was wondering how you would approach marketing if you are multilingual. I'm fluent in 4 languages, but I find it really hard to use it in my marketing. I do have a demo reel in each language, as well as my character demo. So by fluent, do you mean you speak 4 languages to a native level?
Hi, I would say near native, yeah.
Okay. So from our point of view, we would only suggest people for work in certain language if they are native speakers of that language. So like Aletta mentioned before, she's German, she's native German and native English. So we would suggest her for both. If you're just fluent, then it can be helpful. It can be helpful in situations when, for example, the client wants a script in English read with a specific accent, so let's say French or Italian accent, then it might be helpful. But we wouldn't suggest you for work in a language that you're not native. If that makes sense.
Yes, got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. And there's
got a
one
question.
Yeah, go on.
Question for Mona. Where do we find good clients to work with long term for things like commercials, TV shows, video games, e-learning? I send hundreds of emails and LinkedIn messages. Don't know why most don't return the message to connect. Yes, it's a funny one because you can send out 100 emails and only get one response, and whether that converts to an actual job is another thing altogether. So I wouldn't get disheartened by sending out hundreds of messages and hundreds of emails, because the funny thing is I've sent emails to people and forgotten about it, and then a year later they've responded to that email, so that you might still be on their radar. That's why you need to try and find a way to engage with people rather that kind of forces them to respond to your email or your message. So asking a question like, before you send any show reels or anything, hi Rich, I've seen you make commercials. I was wondering if I could send you a show reel, ? Then that kind of engages me to answer that question then. So you know, at least you know that I'm there still. Because the trouble is as well with this industry, it changes so rapidly with people going in and out of the industry, you know, doing the job for 6 months and then moving on. The emails change constantly. So it's just a job to try and keep up with your contact base. But so yeah, if you can kind of engage in that way, at least you know I'm working there, and you know that you can contact me, and yeah, I'm still working there. So yeah, it's kind of, you have to play the long game, but rather than try and email the whole world, which is what I did when I first went freelance, sent out 300 emails on one email and then wondered why nobody got in touch with me. So then I sat down and went through each one, right? Who is this person? Who do they work for? What can I get to know about them? And, you know, connect with them on LinkedIn and do it very methodically and just step by step. It is, like I say, it's doing things by a long haul, but you will then build up, rather than it being quantity, it's quality. And if you can get a handful of really good clients out of that massive marketing, they will be continuous and work with you, you know, as you build that relationship up with them, and come back to you, because you'll be in their minds then.
Can I just say on that, I agree with everything you said, Rich. On a human level, I think human beings, we can smell a disingenuous approach from a mile away. So, you know, just remember your manners. Remember to be a human being first and a voice actor performer second. You're approaching someone as a human being. You know, people can smell that kind of desperation. It's like the person that goes to the club, hey, you know, and it's just, oh God, it just makes you want to run. So, you know, just be nice. And I think there's also something to be said for the person who isn't feeling confident. And so they go in and they sort of, because this was me for years ago, not now, I'm very confident. But you know, you go in and you sort of think, oh, I'm feeling really not very confident right now, but so I'm going to pretend to be big businesswoman, and then it comes off as being just false and fake, and you know, so just be a nice person. Yeah, simple.
In an ideal world, I would say you would research at least a tiny bit about the person you're emailing. So what they do, and if they work for a certain company, what kind of recordings, what kind of projects the company does, and then tailor your message towards that. So yeah, be very specific with who you're talking to and how you approach them, and don't make the messages too long. It just needs to be like especially the first email. When we send out, when we do email marketing, we usually do it in 3 consecutive emails, because people are busy. The first email might not get to them, or they might be on holiday, or they might be busy that day, and they will just disregard the email. But then if you follow up with the next one and then the third one, that usually gets a response. That's our experience.
That's how we've. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go on.
It's just I've already asked a question. Am I allowed another one?
Yes, of course.
Oh, right. I wanted to know how much I can trust LinkedIn. They advertised for an animation called Bored Panda, and I sent them my boys' voices, and they immediately came back saying they're interested in me. Now, if I go through them without an agent, I haven't tried that before with LinkedIn. How much can I trust that whatever I record will be paid properly, or is it worth finding clients on LinkedIn?
Well, it's definitely worth it if you're not exclusively signed. I would say before you even start recording, get the terms straight up front. So you need to know how the recording will be used, and then based on that, you agree the fee with the client.
Well, they just said it's a flat fee, take it or leave it thing.
Right.
And I have no idea whether the flat fee is any good or not. It comes in such a strange, the way it was written. It's in US dollars, and they're called Board Panda, and I have no idea, but they've answered immediately. They said it'd take us 24 hours to answer. As soon as I sent my voices, they came straight back saying they're interested.
Letter, I think one of the really great things about LinkedIn is that you can be a bit more forensic. You can go in, who works for the company, who's casting, how many employees do they have, who are the employees,
check it out,
really work for that company, and it's really useful for that. It's also useful for testimonials, for both for people that you might work with or people who are saying nice things about you. Get them to say them on LinkedIn so that it's fully accountable. People can go in and go, all right, that is a real testimonial from a real person who's really booked her, and so on and so forth. So you can get really forensic with LinkedIn,
right?
And check it out that way. You won't, you won't know about.
But I really should do. I should really do the checking out properly
before you agree on anything, and before you record anything. Just research. Check them on LinkedIn. Like Justine said, you can do a Google search. Ask, see if there are any reviews, if they have a Google profile, business profile, if there are any reviews. The Google will give you plenty of answers, I think. And if it doesn't, run.
Forget it. Run.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you very much.
That's quite all right. Thank you. What else do we have here? Social media. Sorry, I'm just scanning through the questions here. Here we go. What are some trends in the last year or two in terms of your work? Things in more or less demand, more or less saturated. It's a good one.
Well, it's the human touch, isn't it? Really, that's the huge one. Is humanity. Lots of conversational commercials. The voiceover voice, if you like, is dead and gone. It is buried. These days, if you want to get a VO, try and figure out if you're not already doing those conversational reads, get some coaching on it, because the perfection read, the old voiceover style, couldn't be more unattractive right now, and I don't think that's going to change. I think the voiceover, the robotic, the super smooth is gone, and I don't think it's coming back. If we're looking at gaming has become very, very authentic, and a metaphor that I like to use for people is whereas before your reels or your performances may well have been that soldier shouting fire, while you will still have those, actually nowadays you may also be that soldier down in the trenches telling your mate how you just saw your other mate get killed. So there's a lot more heart in those kinds of performances. So if you want to work in video games, if you want to work in animation, brush up on your acting skills. We don't just want big loud voices anymore, 2D characters. We want your souls. We want your souls. And I think that can carry across pretty much every genre at the moment.
Sorry, yes, I totally agree with that. The conversation from the briefs we're getting, the conversational tone is the king now in anything from commercial to corporate. What I'm seeing quite a lot, the clients are asking for conversational tone, and they very often say, we don't want a traditional voiceover. We don't want acting, like overacting. That's gone now. Yeah, the conversational tone is definitely here.
Can I just layer something else on top of that, Justina, which is, I think it's important for us to realize that it's beyond just the tone. It's beyond just the, now I'm going to make my voice sound sexy. It's beyond how we make our voices sound. And we have to actually feel that emotion for that to come out of the voice properly. So I think that's really important. So when we talk about conversational, we talk about authentic, you know, it is just that. It's not just from the neck up, making your voice sound like you think it should, doing this emotion, but to actually feel it all the way through. So in that way, there's more actual acting that's coming through what we do than there ever has been before, because you have to feel your way through instead of think your way through in order to actually connect with anybody. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the other thing, like I tend to get cast for quite upbeat, but they want natural but upbeat type reads. So I have to be like this, but it might be natural because of my accent, like down to earth, but it's not conversational and authentic to me as a I don't talk like that in real life. So I think there's a call for the kind of really out there and not really human reads still. So like being able to do both, being able to like put yourself out there and really project and grab the attention of the listener, but then also bring yourself back down to a human level and like you say, do the authentic human read as something as well.
Rich, I reckon that your accent is just a persona. I reckon that you're with ascot, smoking jacket, cigar, and terribly posh accent.
You got a webcam in my front room or something.
What?
You got a webcam in my front room.
Yeah, so the ransom note will be coming shortly.
Yes, and speaking of accents, that's one thing I wanted to add. That's another trend, I suppose I can say, that me as an agent, I've noticed. Like in the past, 90% of voiceovers the agency I worked for did was in RP. Now it's very much 180 degrees turnaround, and the clients are asking for regional accents, mainly northern, like Lancashire, Midlands. Yeah. So that's definitely something I've noticed in the past 2 years, minimum. Yeah, minimum 2 years.
Definitely. And as an example, I used to be one of the producers on Birdseye, and they do green cuisine, I think. Yeah, they do green cuisine, and I cast the current green cuisine guy, and the client said to me, I need a northern voice. And usually when I go to an agency, I will say, send me this accent and I'll get a list of people. I had maybe 1 or 2 northern voices at my preferred agency, so I had to go further and further and further, because I like to have a list of 10 or 15 that I can then whittle down and then send 5 to my client. I went to 7 different agencies just to get my quota. And it was a nightmare. The client kept coming back and no, we want another, we want another, we want another. And so, yeah, regional accents are having a massive boom. But I would say that in the last 2 years, we have now got more. So although it's popular, you may well find that you are now part of a bigger pool, if that makes sense. But yeah, if you've got a regional accent, go for it.
Yeah, I mean the thing about, especially I got a call from either a production company or an agency in London, and they said, we've seen that you're northern. We've got a script when it needs to sound like Sean Bean. I'm like, well, he's Yorkshire. He's like the broadest Yorkshire you could get. That doesn't make up the northern part of England, you know. So it can be quite dangerous to kind of have northern in your voice description. So if you do the voice description, try and break it down to, like I now put northwest, Staffordshire, Cheshire border, you know, and break it down a little bit like that. And the other thing about regional accents as well, when I have quite a lot of people come to me and say I can do lots of different accents, shall I put them on my reel? And I say no, but if you've got some accents like I've just had a guy recently who did Cardiff as well as the kind of broader Welsh accent. So he kind of pinpointed a place in Wales as well as this kind of overall Welsh sound that he had got to his voice. So he was like, shall I sell that? Yeah, because there's not a lot of Welsh voices compared to, say, Yorkshire voices that are being, you know, cast a lot. So if you've got something unique, like maybe Liverpudlian or just out on the outskirts of Liverpool, that's a castable voice, but there aren't a lot of voices like that. You know, it can be quite hard to track somebody down with that accent. So if you're thinking about putting accents on your reel, think, how marketable is it, and can I get work with it? Am I kind of creating a niche for myself with this?
Yeah,
with this accent.
And as long as you can do it to a very high standard, we want to know that you can switch it on. And on a slight tangent, but I think you might find this interesting, is whenever I produced a UK commercial, the client would ask me to produce an ROI version as well. And usually we'd have to go to Ireland to hire the voice artists. But when it comes to usage fees, the adverts in the UK, for example, 1 year TV online, blah, 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 we might pay the voice 8 or 9 grand. If you do the same thing in Ireland, we'll pay you £1,000. So a lot of Irish voices have started learning how to do RP so that they can become the 10 grand voices. It's absolute madness, but that's the way that they've figured it out. And they have, I am amazed at how good many Irish voice artists are at doing RP accents. So if you want to have an accent on your reel, make sure you can do it to a very, very high standard that you could fool, essentially. Otherwise, leave it off, because otherwise it'll just pull your reel down. So
yes, that's a question from Philip. Any advice on RP folk? Seeing as recommendation for reels was the only one, the only used native languages, is it the same for accents? From my perspective as an agent, I would only suggest native accents for the particular role. So if they're looking for Liverpudlian, I will only suggest people who are natively from there. If I'm desperate and somebody is really, really, really good, then I might consider it. But my first choice would be native. Yeah.
Yeah, there are people that are, you know, really trained from the ground up to do accents, like Kenny Blythe. He is really good at accents to the point that you can't. I've done commercials with him, and I can't tell the difference between like the authentic and what he's done, because he's trained at university. He's learned about dialects, and he's gone and trained, you know, from the ground up to do that. So there definitely are people that can recreate those accents. But like you say, if you've got someone who is from that area, you just can't get better than that. So
yeah, you can't, and we will always prioritize those.
But then again, it's if they've got the skills to actually pull the words off the page and deliver them in a believable way as well. It's great having the accent, but are they going to bring the script to life in the way that you want? Yeah,
I would say that accents, if you master them, they're extremely useful in audiobook industry, because many audiobooks have different characters, and the artist is expected to read in specific accents. So yeah, audiobooks, it's definitely useful for audiobooks.
I would even go so far to say that they don't have to be perfect for audiobooks. They just have to be consistent.
Believable, yeah.
Yeah.
And just last point, if your accent is not native and you're just trained in a certain accent, I wouldn't, if I would suggest for a job, I wouldn't suggest you for a long form narration. It would have to be something short and snappy. Otherwise, everybody will be caught cheating. And that's not what we want.
Mona's asked another interesting question actually about having separate reels for each niche. So that comes around to the question of like, how many reels should I have?
Yes.
And I would say as many reels as you need to get your point across. So if you start off with a kind of bog standard commercial and narration, and then you find that you're getting, so your narration reel's got a mixture of corporate videos, e-learning, blah, blah, blah. Then you find that you gain a kind of a portfolio of e-learning work. Then you can create a separate e-learning work, e-learning reel. And that kind of goes for the type of reads that you're getting cast for as well. So, because what can happen is if you have, say, all of that stuff on one reel and it's on your website, it might get lost when somebody's listening to it, or if you're on a voice directory. So if you have separate reels for each, doesn't mean that you have to have them for everything, but as long as it's kind of showcasing, yeah, I've got a reel for e-learning, because I've got a show reel for like college and university reads that I send out to producers in, June or whatever, when they're preparing for students or whatever. So I've got a reel specifically for that. I send it out. I know you're going to be advertising. So as long as it serves the purpose, have as many reels as you feel you need to get your point across, I think. So yeah, so if you've got like a commercial reel that has a couple of accents, but you can do loads of accents and it will fill a show reel, and you've collected work from everywhere, you've done jobs using those different accents, then make a show reel out of it to showcase that is your accent reel. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Right.
Oh no, I think your audio's turned off.
Sorry? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Hello?
Mona's.
Yeah. Right, we're coming to an end. It's 7:30. We've got a little announcement at the end. We've put together, Rich put together a little workshop on recording techniques and live directed sessions.
Yeah.
Rich, I'll hand it over to you.
So I'm going to try and share my screen now, so that you can see the flyer. Hopefully you can. Oh no, who's that? So yeah, this is a workshop which will teach you the basics of recording techniques, microphone techniques, recording levels, all those different things that you need to obviously record kind of broadcast quality audio. But we also do a part of the workshop is specifically for live directed sessions. So if you've only had experience up to this point doing kind of self-record, or if you haven't had many live directed sessions, then I'll send you some scripts and I'll put you through your paces as if we're in a live directed session, and just to give you that that bit of experience, the kind of a bit of pressure really, because yeah, it's kind of showing up you know, with your A game and being able to say, yeah, I understand what this script is, I know what the director's going to want, I can perhaps think of a couple of ideas and share my initiative during the session, and kind of just put you through your paces a little bit. So these are the kind of things that we'll cover. There's a workshop booklet that's provided so that all the kind of the theory and the things that I talk about regarding recording techniques and levels and compression and processing and all these things that might sound a little bit scary, you can refer to in this workshop booklet. So yeah, this is kind of what we're covering: mic techniques, voiceover techniques, recording, basic processing, voice direction. That tends to be a really big one, that all this stuff, like the theory of the techniques and stuff like that, you know, 3 hours isn't enough to cover it all really. That's why I kind of just do the basics and give you that booklet to refer to, because it is a lot to take in. Like I went to uni for 4 years to learn what I learned, and I've been doing it for, you know, over 20 years now. So it's a lot to take in within that short space of time. But I think one of the big benefits about this is the live voice direction and actually putting you through your paces with that. So
well, you just one question: will you be touching on self-directed sessions as well? Because like quite a lot of our artists are asked to do self-recorded sessions.
Yeah.
And some of them, I think some of them struggle a bit with that.
I tend to cover that as what I would do, and this is another good thing about the live directed sessions, is that I'll give you feedback on your performance. So with that feedback, I'll probably give tips on the self-directed version of what you've done. So yeah, it's kind of building an understanding of what you think that the director would want if you're doing it as a self-direction job. So with the live directed session, I will push you to a place where perhaps you haven't got that performance out of yourself before, and then you've got a kind of threshold to say, oh yeah, I can get this out of myself. So we will cover that during the session. It wouldn't be specific to self-direction, but I would you know, bring that up during the session.
Great. Thank you.
So yeah, that's the price for the workshop. That's the full cost, but we've got an early bird price, which is a 20% discount, which if you book by 6 p.m. on Wednesday, by tomorrow at 6 p.m, you can get the early bird price as well. It's like it says there, it's tax deductible. If you're not used to live directed sessions, or you need more knowledge about recording techniques and you know, the technology and theory side of it, then obviously it's a good investment for your business. Yeah, and you can write it off against tax, which is another good thing as well.
Great. So how people can book? I mean,
so they can book direct via the website, and I'll put the link. I'll put the link in the chat box.
You can if you're interested, you can also email me if you don't get the chance to note down the link. You can also email me and I'll just refer you to Rich.
Yeah, you choose group workshop from the drop down. and you can pay direct from the website to the website. So it's just that link there. You'll see a little choose an option, group workshop, and then it's add to cart, and just follow straight through.
I can't see the link.
The link's in the chat.
Chat.
I think I've sent it direct to somebody. Yeah.
Oops.
Bobby got it. Nobody else did. Everyone. Right, it's coming in now. There you go.
Oh, thank you. Yes, it's in.
Choose group workshop from the drop down, and then just follow the process. Kind of want to limit it to maybe 10 people, just so that everybody gets enough time to do the live directed stuff.
You're just going to get it. That's fine.
Hey. So thank you.
I'll put
Thank you
those
so
flyers.
much again.
Put those flyers in the chat as well.
Oh yes, put the flyers as well. Like I said, if you don't get the chance to make a note of the link, I'm happy to direct you to Rich. Just send me an email on our general address.
From my tenants, they want fine white, and the boys are absolutely. That's why I know you always use whatever kind of get
Okay, so.
All right. So 20 to 8. Thank you so much.
And thank you. Thank you so much.
I hope we gave you some food for thought and most precious questions. Yeah, and we hope to see you on the next free workshop, hopefully at some point in the future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Justina.
Have a lovely evening.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.
Oh, this is recorded as well. So.
Pardon?
Bye. Thanks
it's
so
recorded.
much.
Oh yeah, it's recorded as well.